we have now a presentation from Margot in other Moreno, that is from the ECDC. So please, Margot, introduce briefly yourself as we did this morning, but you were not with us yet. I guess that you are very busy in this period.
Yes, I was in a previous meeting.
So I really appreciate the fact that you were able to manage to be here with us. Thanks a lot.
Good.
Please.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay,
perfect.
Great. So I'm Margot Moreno, CDC expert in emergency preparedness and response, and I'm going to present two human health surveillance platforms that we have at EU level. One is EpiPulse, and the other is the early warning response system, EWRS system. First, I'm going to describe two important concepts that we have at European level. And one is the risk assessment, and the other one is the risk management of an event. So the risk assessment of an event is the investigation of the event, the identification, assessment, and communication of the risk associated to that event. And the main stakeholders are the public health institutes and food safety authorities at the country level. And at European level, the two main stakeholders in foodborne events are ECDC and EFSA. Then we have the risk management. That is the implementation of the control measures. So one is the investigation, the risk assessment, and then the other one is the implementation, deciding what are the control measures that need to be implemented, and the management of the event. And here the main stakeholders are the ministries of health and the food safety authorities at the country level, together with the food and feed crisis coordinators. And there's also the health security committee at European level. And then, of course, so if you think at the European level, in terms of human health, we have risk assessment, and it's the mandate of ECDC. And then we have risk management, and it's the mandate of the Commission. So we have two different mandates, and this explains what at European level we have two different platforms. The one for risk assessment is EpiPulse. Some of you may know, of course, EPIS, the old EPIS for food and waterborne, and this platform has been retired last year, and EpiPulse is replacing this platform and includes more diseases. And then for risk assessment, the part of RAS News corresponds a bit to this functionality. And then for risk management, we have the EWRS system, and then on the food side, we have, of course, RASP and other type of alerts and notifications. So here you see we have EpiPulse on one side, and what is reported in EpiPulse. So, well, we have two types of data. We have case-based data. This means that it's individual case to EpiPulse, but also isolates. And this is reported by countries. The individual cases are usually reported annually, with some exceptions, like for instance COVID-19 and so. And then isolates are reported on a weekly basis, and also it's a voluntary notification. And for instance, we have notification of isolates for Salmonella and Listeria. Then if you think, okay, if countries are obliged to report cases annually, this is not good for detecting outbreaks, because you would just see things in the past. This system is to detect the burden of the disease and also have the background data, so that if there's an event, we can compare and say, okay, is this an outbreak or not? And then we have the other part of the platform, that is the event-based data, where countries can report outbreaks and clusters, but also ECDC has a role in the detection of these outbreaks and clusters that I will explain a bit later. On the other side, we have EWRS, and here countries can notify, again, outbreaks and clusters, and also data for contact tracing. And here is countries can report the name and surname of cases, an international investigation, and finding contacts. For instance, if there's a case of a disease in a plane, and they need to find out the contacts. Yeah, next. So as I said, in EpiPulse, you can report outbreaks and clusters, and in EWRS too. Then why are you having these two systems? So here it's important to know that there's a decision that was taken in 2013 on serious cross-border threats to health. This was a decision taken by all the countries that defines the rights and obligations of countries to report public health events. And they put three criteria that they need, that any event needs to, sorry, that any event needs to accomplish, so that countries are obliged to notify an event. So the first criteria is that something is unusual, unexpected for the given place and time, has significant morbidity or mortality in humans, or it grows or may grow rapidly, or it exceeds or may exceed national response capacity. Basically, anything that may make dangerous an event. And it affects or may affect more than one member state, requires or may require a coordinated response of union level. And it's important to highlight that it's an and, meaning that if it may not require coordinated response at union level, the countries are not obliged to report these events. This platform has restricted access, of course, and the main stakeholders are the public health authorities of the EU member states. Then this decision indicates what is mandatory to report, and that is why EUWRS was created, so that countries would report here what is mandatory to report. But then what happens with all the rest of events, the ones that do not have the criteria, or when you don't know if they are having those criteria, and in a too early stage to know? Then that's why EPIs and EpiPulse were created. Here the owner is, as I said, for EWRS the owner is the Commission, but for EpiPulse it's ECDC, and the main goal is risk assessment. Here, as there's no decision from the Commission to oblige countries to report, the notifications are completely voluntary of events. And then is informal, and the main participants are epidemiologists, microbiologists from the human public health, but also food safety authorities, and participants from other sectors. So it's a place where they can share information on a voluntary basis, and also it has a low threshold to report. So you can have a country that reports 3 cases of Salmonella and just check if another country has seen the same type. And as I said, EWRS, the owner is the European Commission, is for risk management, deciding what are the control measures that have to be implemented. It's mandatory, it's formal, and it's for policy makers. From human public health authorities, but there are also other authorities, like for instance, EFSA has also access to it. Then what are the sources of information? So actually, one of the main sources of information is ECDC. How? So on a daily basis, ECDC analyzes the media and does website scanning and media aggregators to find possible events that may affect the European Union. And these signals or events are reported in but also, as I said, countries report individual cases and also isolates. And for instance, with the isolates of Salmonella, Listeria, there's an algorithm that is run every week to find out clusters. And then when a cluster is found, it's posted as a signal so that countries involved could see that they have cases matching with other countries. Then, of course, the participating countries. We have EU, EA countries and also non-EU EA countries invited in EpiPulse, and they are the main stakeholders in the platform. This is a platform for them to share the information and discuss among themselves. And then we have, of course, partner institutions like EFSA, other EU agencies, WHO, and some more. And then in EpiPulse, we can report signals, events, threats, long-term monitoring. That is something that does epidemic intelligence on some type of diseases. But users can also post news and forums, discussions that they may have on technical questions. They can post a question and other countries reply. This platform, as you know, there were some before that existed. We had only for 5 disease groups, so it was for food and waterborne, Legionnaire's disease, and so. But many diseases were not covered by this platform. But now within EpiPulse, we cover for all diseases. And if you see the news, they are the ones that did not have a platform before. Including COVID-19. And then one important thing also is that we can report unknown diseases, things that we still don't know what is the cause. Then with the platform, we have also increased our collaboration with other stakeholders under the One Health approach. Now we have invited users from all these sectors to the platform. For instance, we have the European Agency for Chemicals, the one for civil protection, drugs, and so. We have, of course, the EWRS users that also now have access to EpiPulse. And from the food safety and animal health sector, well, we have animal health, we have biocides, we have entomology, the VectorNet network. We have users from food safety and veterinary antimicrobial resistance. And this is also, we are doing this also with a special focus in preparedness, in terms that maybe there are things that will not be common that are reported, or that one of these participants will be involved. But it's very important that we know each other in advance, that we know what the other side is doing, and that this is not work that we start from scratch when something comes up and then it's like, oh, by the way, yes, we need to involve that other agency or that other stakeholder. So this is very important, that we know each other very well and what the others do. And then regarding uses from food safety and animal health and veterinary antimicrobial resistance and biocides sectors, here I list the uses we have. So we have uses from DG Sante, we have uses from EFSA, we have European reference laboratories. The ones involved are the ones that we already have users. The rest, we are now working with EFSA to nominate users to be granted access to the platform. And then we have EUEA countries. And at the moment, I can say that for food safety, we have 12 EUEA countries that have been already granting access, or at least if would be one of these days of this week. So this is already there. These users can be invited to any event of threat if it's needed. And when are they invited? Well, when there are issues within their mandate on the content of the item that should be shared for the knowledge and need of input. So for instance, for food safety, when there's a food vehicle suspected, then URL and if URL can be, of course, invited, but also the users from the countries, if there's a rapid outbreak assessment, or the human health users of a country say, hey, please, can you invite the food safety users from my country to see the information? So this is for everyone to be on the same page and have the information in real time. It's important to note that this is not a place for food safety users to report data that should be in RASP. So RASP is the platform for food safety users to report information on food, and here it's for them to know if there are cases and what is going on the human health side. But it's very important for human health users also to know at some point if there are matches with food, because this may even change that the human that the epidemiologists are using for interviewing the patients when they have already done interviews and they don't know anymore what could be. This has been proven in the past that that could bring up this new information and change the investigation of the outbreak. And then the last also, that we can also mark in an event if something is multi-country or not, when we verified if it's multi-country or not. And then also we can indicate if it has a RAS connected to them, so that the user also can know if there's a RAS linked to the event that exists, and also if there is a EWRS linked to that event. So we have this system of linkage. And this is it from my side. I'm open to questions if needed.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Margot. And is there any question or comment? Alan, maybe you want to say something?
Just a quick one. Thank you very much, Margot, for that update. It's great to see that you're expanding that network to include food safety. And this was one of the weaknesses of the system in the past, that our public health colleagues could be discussing a foodborne instance or an event for some time before that information was shared with the food safety colleagues. And it looks like you have fixed that now, which is great. When did you start that new system to include more stakeholders? And when did that actually happen?
Actually, I have to say that food safety users were already in EPI's platform. So we have been for years that EFSA URLs and some country users were already granted access to EPIs. Now we have rethought the permissions together with EFSA, and we are amplifying it to animal health and so on. We had to renominate users. That's why now I have got new nominations for the countries, and that's why we have now 12 countries. And that's it. Then EpiPOS went live in June 2021. So this is we has been about a bit more than half a year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Margot. There is a comment from Jan, please, Jan.
Thanks. I just wanted to get to that last point where more food safety contacts are involved. I believe that there was something set up that the RAS contact points could have systematic access to the food waterborne disease network in EpiPOS. So I hope that is being realized. Some of the contact points came back saying, yes, we're not so familiar with the application. Do we really need access? I think it's important that they make the effort to get access. It doesn't take very long if you're notified of an incident to go and have a look, see if you're involved. Just take knowledge of the information, and then if you come across information about an event, you might, in your mind, make the link with something you've seen before. And I think so it's very important to spread that participation.
The use is voluntary. So of course, nobody is obliged to go and check. But if you have an outbreak and you want to check if there's something going on the human side and you have access, of course, this can be of help.
Mm-hmm. I find it very useful, but I have to say that my experience with previous EPIs, I preferred to the EpiPulse as it is now. But okay. I suppose things will, progress.
Yes, the platform is new, and we are going.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan. And Margot, I kindly ask you if it's possible then to have your presentation so we can upload it on the Academy.
Yes, I just note one thing. Of course, there's a link to EpiPOS, but there's another thing just for users, if that is helpful. If you don't have access to EpiPOS, there's a threat report app from ECDC where you can see all the threats from ECDC and the reports that we do on threats. Okay. Just in case if is of use.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Margot. And it is my pleasure to welcome Valentina Rizzi and Eleonora Sarno from EFSA. I can see that Valentina already raised the hand. Valentina, good morning. If you can briefly introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you very much, please. Alberto. Can you hear me?
Sure, yeah.
I'm Valentina Rizzi. I work in EFSA since many years now, working in this multi-country foodborne outbreak investigation, now in a new unit which is called BioHow, and working also with Eleonora, who is in charge for